Thank you for attending the Understanding Your Ticket Text presentation. My name is Tony Schmidt, and I'll be here to guide you through this presentation. If at any time you have questions about this presentation, you can contact us by dialing 1-800-309-8289 extension 1 or by emailing us at membersupport@udigny.org. So let's begin. Today we will have a brief discussion on how to read a transmitted location request. By the end of this discussion, we will understand the difference between an excavator and a member, understand the different ticket types, learn how information can improve safety, learn the importance of each section of the request, learn how the information provided can assist in responding to a request, and learn how to seek assistance. Before we get started, let's review a couple terms and references used in this presentation. The reference to a member and an excavator will be used frequently. The member is the group or company who owns and operates the facility. The member receives a location request, marks or clears the site, and then responds back into Exactix to provide a response. An excavator is the person who submits the location request to have the site marked or cleared by the member prior to excavating, and then receives the responses from the member through Exactix. In some cases, you may be both a member and an excavator. So what is the difference between a transmitted location request and viewing the request in Exactix? When referring to a transmitted location request, I'm referring to what the location request will look like when you receive it by email from Exactix, and not what it looks like when you sign into Exactix and view it from the system on the Ticket tab on your dashboard. This slide is how it looks when we refer to a transmitted location request. This screenshot is what I'm referring to when I say viewing it within the ticket dashboard in Exactix. So why is this important? Even though Exactix is becoming streamlined, it's a way to view and manage location requests, UDigNY is still responsible for sending them by electronic transmission. Many of our members receive them by email and view them by the ticket text. We want to make sure that everyone has a good understanding of how to interpret the information within the text. So let's get started. As we review each section of the location request, please note that both the member and the excavator will view the same information on the transmission apart from the header. I will point out how each section affects all users or affects a particular user. I will offer suggestions and share common questions we receive when reading a location request. Members who use a locating service, please keep in mind the information may be shown in a different order depending on the service that you use. The header of the request will be read differently for members and excavators. I will start by showing you how a member will view the header. The first item in the member header is the ticket type. There will be 4 stars before and 4 stars after the name of the ticket type. This will help you quickly identify the priority of the request. The second line will state the transmission is a dig request from UDigNY, followed by the service area code the request is intended for. Identifying the service area code is important because sometimes members have multiple service areas and use one email address to receive all their transmissions. The last item in the second line is the taken field. This field provides the date and the time the location request was submitted. The third line begins with the to field. This field shows the name of the destination the location request was sent to. This is important as some service areas will use multiple destinations to receive their requests. And the next field is the transmitted field. This field provides the date and the time the member received the location request. So going forward, all sections will appear the same for both the member and the excavator. The ticket field is where you will find the location request number, which we also call the ticket number. For members, this item will be the last field within your header, and for excavators, this item will be the first field in your header. Following the ticket number, the type field will provide the type of location request being transmitted. Members will view the ticket type twice within their headers. There are several different ticket types, and we'll have a quick review of each of these towards the end of the presentation. And following the ticket type is the previous ticket field. Most of the time, this field will be blank. If there was a ticket that had a change resulting in a new ticket number, you would view the previous ticket number here. Reviewing a ticket number, we are often asked, does a ticket number mean anything? And is it helpful to anyone outside of just a reference number? The location request or ticket number is mainly a reference number, but knowing what it means can be useful if perhaps you are trying to find a location request, but you only know the date you entered or called it in. The location request or ticket number is made up of 13 digits. The first 5 digits signify the date the request was created. The first 2 numbers are the month, the next 2 numbers are the date, and the last digit is the last number of the year. So this request was created on March 20th, 2024. A dash will follow the first 5 digits. The next 3 digits are assigned by our Exactix system and will be random to help keep any ticket number from being the same. For example, 000, 001, etc. And then it will be followed by another dash. The next 3 digits are consecutive numbers. These 3 digits will be followed by another dash. The last 2 digits are the version number of the location request. The original request will be 00. Each time an original request is updated, the version will change by 1. Examples of what may cause a version change are things like cancellations, resends. Following the header is where the location of the excavation is found. This section is important as it sets the physical location and is the municipal address, street, or bounded by where the excavation is taking place. The state will always be NY for New York, as we only accept locations in New York. The county is the name of the county that the location is in. The address field has both a from and a to field. The house number is placed within the from field when the excavation is taking place at a specific address. Most of the time, the to field will not be filled in, and it will just be left blank. Sometimes, if the excavation is continual between 2 addresses on the same side of the road, it may then be filled in using the 2 addresses. The cross field will include a from and a to field. In this section, the cross fields will only be filled in when a location request is for work at an intersection or the excavation taking place is continual from one cross street to the next cross street. And the offset field is not used, and this will always remain blank. So let's take a few minutes to review how to read the request when it's entered as an address, an intersection, or when the work is taking place from street to street. When an excavation is taking place at an address, the to field will be filled in with the parcel or the house number. For example, this excavation will be at 4915 Glenwood Drive in Erie County, town of Clarence. Just a quick note to your excavators, when providing an address, please be sure to state if you are working at or you're working near the address. It's important to make this distinction for the member's interpretation of the request. Only addresses should be entered within this field. Lots, reference numbers, and poll numbers would be provided later within this request. Members use this address field to determine if they have facilities at or near the stated address. And we highly suggest that our members read the comments field just in case the excavator is working outside of that address. An address range is used when both the from and the to fields are utilized. The from and to fields will be filled in on occasion and should only be used when a consecutive excavation is taking place from one address to another on the same side of the road. For example, A new sewer main is being installed from house 4885 to house 4915 Glenwood Road. Excavators, it's a good idea to make sure your ticket relates to where you are working. If you are not continually moving from one address to the other, we would suggest you provide a description of the work site further down in the location section and verify your work is following the extent of excavation policy. For example, if the work is not continual, like a main, and you are installing services, each address would need to be separate. Members read this line as the excavator is continuously working between these two addresses, and this will help them determine if they have facilities within this address range. So working at intersections. Here is an example of what you will view when your work is being done at an intersection, or starting at an intersection and then proceeding for provided footage. The only time an address number will be entered is when the excavation is at a corner property. Excavators, if your work is not entirely within the intersection, be sure to provide good information of how far you will be excavating from the intersection and in what direction. For example, working at the intersection and proceeding 200 feet west on Route 80 on both sides of the road. And members, when reading this line item, this will show you the intersection the work is taking place, but keep in mind to read the entire location request in case there are additional notes to narrow down the location or the excavation is extended from the intersection. Street to street is used when the excavation is continual along the road from one street to the next intersecting street. This format is used for continual excavations such as installations of mains, milling, and paving. It is important to note when members view the street-to-street setup, they read the request as the excavation is taking place from one intersecting street to the next. And this might take time to go out and mark the entire road from one street to the other. Providing details within your request can save both the excavator time and resources, and it may even result in a smaller affected service area list. The location section. This section provides the locate instructions for the excavation and includes items such as work type, near streets, dimensions, and the means of excavation. We urge excavators to provide detailed information and instructions to help both the excavators and the members save valuable time and decrease their response time. The first item in this section is the locate field. These are specific instructions detailing where the excavation is taking place and sometimes how the area is pre-marked. Let's review some examples of some good and some not so good instructions. Bad examples. Here are a couple of not so good locate instructions. Mark the entire property when you're not excavating the entire property. Marked in white only, no other instructions. GPS coordinates only. GPS coordinates are helpful and encouraged to be added, but should be accompanied by other details. Working in the backyard when the backyard is not what some might define as a mowed area. These are not so good instructions, could cause the member to be overextended on the resources and for responses to be delayed until a member can schedule a locator to visit the site. We also highly encourage when working in a lot, field, or wooded area behind an address to add this information to the request and even provide a footage from the road. Many pipelines and trunk lines run through farm fields, along railroad tracks, etc. Well, here are some good examples of locate instructions. We're working in the driveway located on the left side of the house is facing from the road to the house approximately 100 feet. Please mark from the road to the house in front of the property. The area is marked with a white X along the road in front of the property near the mailbox, working within 25-foot radius of the marked location. Working at a pump station, we'll need a 50-foot radius marked around the pump station, and the GPS coordinates are, and working at the back of the property in a farm field that's approximately 400 feet from the road edge. The farm field has 4 stakes marked in white surrounding the excavation site. The near street field provides the near streets or intersecting streets. These street names are requested from the excavator and are intended to be the nearest streets that intersect the road and bound the area where the excavation is taking place. UDIG-NY has an internal policy in place when requesting near or intersecting streets. This policy is in place to produce quality location requests. This policy is not part of Code 753, and requests will not be refused if cross or near streets are unknown. So before we move on, let me quickly explain how the members are selected for a location request. This might give a better understanding for the next few slides and may help everyone to understand how important the mapping process is for both the member and the excavator. Members create a general map with an exactix depicting where they will have underground facilities and where they need to be notified. We refer to this as the member service area layer. When a location request is created, another general map layer is created by the call center agent or by a web user that could be an excavator or even a homeowner. Our agent creates the excavation site map. This layer is based on the description provided by the excavator. The homeowner or excavator using our website to enter their request will create this map layer by using their knowledge of the site. The layer is created by using polygons. A buffer is automatically placed on the polygon tool used to create this layer. In this example, the work area is mapped, the solid blue polygon, between 2 cross streets highlighted in red grid polygons along the road. When the location request map layer, the solid blue polygon, touches the member service area layer, the solid pink polygon, the service area is then added to the request as an affected service area. Please note, the map is only used as a tool for the software to select the affected service areas within the general area of excavation. The locate instructions within the request are what the member will use when locating and not the map. Now that we have reviewed what the map is for and how the affected service areas are chosen, let's review why we request 2 near streets. So when 2 cross streets are provided, when entering the near streets, UDIG-NY requests 2, the nearest on each side of the excavation area. If the location is a parcel and found on our map, the 2 cross streets are just used to verify the site is in the correct area, and only the parcel will be submitted. If work is not at a parcel, and the parcel cannot be found on our map, the 2 cross streets are used as a bounding point and are then gridded using a polygon tool from one street to the other. This is to err on the side of safety for both the excavator and the member. This process helps the excavator receive a complete list of members within the segment of road they are working, and at the same time, limiting a possible large number of members to clear your site. In this example, the excavator provided 2 cross streets, so there were only 6 affected service areas. When only 1 cross street is provided, if the location is a parcel and found on our map, the parcel will be submitted. When the excavation is not a parcel or the parcel is not found on our map, if only 1 cross street is provided and the excavator does not have a distance from 1 cross street, the entire road the excavation site is on will be notified. This is also to err on the side of safety for both the excavator and the member. In the instance when the road is a cul-de-sac, most of the times there will only be 1 near street provided, and the near streets are then created as the name of the near street. The dead end is off, and then either entered as dead end or cul-de-sac. Reviewing this example, let's see how knowing the cross streets could make this location experience better for both the excavator and the member. The excavator only had 1 cross street, but they did not know the distance from the cross streets. By being able to grid the distance, there were only 5 affected service areas. When there's no near streets or 1 near street with no details, if the location is a parcel and found on our map, the parcel map will be submitted. But if the parcel is not found and the excavator does not have the near streets available, the entire road the excavation is on will be notified. Again, this is to err on the side of the safety for both the excavator and the member. Reviewing this example, because the entire road was notified, 13 service areas were notified. But by providing cross streets, the excavator may have saved time for both of them and the members. So means of excavation and blasting. This field will include the type of excavation equipment being used on site, and there will be at least one listed, but there could be multiple. The blasting field will be either entered as a yes or a no. Excavators should include all types of excavation equipment, and be sure to choose yes if using explosives. Members will sometimes use the means field to help them determine how aggressive or deep the excavation site will be, and it will assist them in locating or clearing the process. When the blasting field shows a yes, members may need to follow up with the excavator to determine the scope of work, and sometimes they might want to request a meeting. Is the area marked in white? This field will either be a yes or a no. UDIG NY highly recommends pre-marking the site in white, as it is one of our best practices. Pre-marking in white helps define the work area for the locators and saves time for both the member and the excavator. If not pre-marking in white, please be sure to indicate how the site is marked within the location request comments. Marking in white not only defines the work areas, but it can make the site safer for locating, marking in high traffic areas, spending less time searching for the correct area to mark, and less time marking areas that do not need to be located. Currently, marking in white is not under the Code Rule 753 requirement, but it is part of UDIG NY's best practices. UDIG NY will not refuse submitting a location request if the area is not pre-marked, but will continue to train and educate excavators to pre-mark in white whenever possible. So drilling in the edge of road, boring or directional drilling, this field will be a yes or a no, and it's used to help provide information to the member if there will be any boring or directional drilling taking place on the site. Excavators, the way you answer these two questions will help you present a full understanding of your excavation to the member locator. Members, knowing if there will be boring or drilling, might help you determine how you're going to locate. Within the 25 feet of the edge of the road field will either be a yes, no, or an unknown. Some members have chosen not to receive requests if the location request has been stamped as a no. These members only have facilities that are not 25 feet from the edge of the road. So let's move on to this next section and discuss work type field. It is important to list all the excavation work you will be doing on the site. It is also important to be sure to follow the extent of excavation policy when listing your work type. For example, if you are installing water mains, they can go on one ticket street to street. But if you are installing water services, you can only place one address per location request. More information on the extent of policy can be found on our website. Depth and site dimensions. The depth of an excavation and site dimensions are not required fields for the excavator, but we do encourage them to be included. Providing the information when it is available may result in a quicker or more defined markout. It also helps the member narrow down the location and helps to answer some questions that may have resulted in a phone call. The estimated work complete date. In the next few slides, we will discuss the dates listed within location requests and what they mean and why they are important. The estimated work complete date. This field is an approximate date and is only used for planning purposes. Excavators, the date you provide does not mean that you need to finish on this date, but rather provides the member an estimated time you will be on site. For example, it could be a job you are on for months. It gives the members a heads up that they might receive a request in the future to remark or freshen up their markings. Or they may have an asset such as a pipeline they may request to have checked periodically or remarked. Remember, this date does not mean that the excavator is required to get a new mark out after this date. It is just a reference to help you know there may be a need for a fresh mark out in the future and help you work with the excavator and the project. The start date and time is the date and time when the excavator is planning on starting their excavation by breaking ground. Excavators, when placing a location request, the start date and time defaults to the first legal, but you can choose your start date for a later date, up to 10 days. If you're not starting on the default date, it's good to provide the members with as much notice as possible. This may create fewer wait times for clearances and less Code 55 delay responses. For example, if most of the members' requests for the day give the first legal date, the member sometimes has no option other than to delay and request more time. By providing a more specific date for your start date, members will be able to plan more effectively. And members must respond by the start date and time listed on the request, if the request is a regular notice, to avoid receiving late fees. A regular notice means the excavator provided the legal amount of time. All other ticket types, such as short notice, will require a response within 2 full days. But members will not receive a late charge when the legal amount of time is not provided. Members requesting a delay are asked to also contact and work with the excavator and then respond back into Exactix once the markout is completed or they have verified that they are clear. The must start by. This date is the date the excavator must break ground before the ticket expires. Excavators will need to place a new ticket and wait 2 full business days again for a new location if the excavation is not started by the must start date. We encourage excavators to be sure they are ready to start between the start date and the must start date time, as the entire process will need to take place again if it does not. Members, to clarify, the must start date is for the excavator's use, and this is not the date the response is due by. Sometimes this date is misunderstood by the member. We encourage our members to respond prior to the legal work date and time so the excavator will be set to begin their excavation on time. We understand that sometimes there may be a need to delay an excavation and request 2 more days. We will cover this in just a few minutes. Excavator contact information. The excavator contact information consists of the contact's name who submitted the request, the company name, address, phone numbers, and email address. Field contact can be the same person as the contact submitting the request or a different person. A field contact would be the go-to person out in the field. Members will usually call this person with questions or concerns regarding the location. The field contact can change according to the location request. The working for field is mainly for use by the excavator to help them with their record keeping, but sometimes is helpful to the member. This field is usually the name of the business, company, utility, or the name of the homeowner the work is being done for. Members find this useful when searching for an area or verifying an area, especially when it's a person's last name. They might find it on their mailbox or it's a local business. The comment section can contain manually inserted notes or auto stamp notes. Let's review the manually inserted. These notes are for the member and locator to assist them with items such as notifying them of dangers on site, latitude, longitude, coordinates if available. If the site is not marked in white, how is it marked? Also notes of the reason for a request being resent. There are sometimes auto stamp notes from our Exactix system for things like a ticket was canceled or when an excavator requests a utility that was not on the affected service area list to be manually added. We urge members to read the comments, as it will help them keep up to date with any notes the excavator may resend or make to the location request. The lookup type is how the site was mapped to compile the member list, so either by parcel, address, intersection, etc. This is used as just a quick reference for the member. In the affected service area list, this is the last section on the location request. All listed will be sent a location request and will then be required to respond to the request through the automated positive response. Excavators will be provided with a stakeout contact number for each member. This number should be called when there is an issue with the markout. For example, no response, trying to locate the marked facility but not finding the line. And please remember the members have up to the day and time listed on a regular ticket to respond. When placing a design request, the contact numbers may be different from those that are normally a stakeout contact of the member. Design contacts are usually engineering departments within a member company, and sometimes they are private engineering firms. Excavators, no matter if it is a stakeout or a design contact, you should always use the number listed on this request. It's not a good idea to make your own list, as contacts are changed frequently within our system as people retire and move on to different departments. Ticket types. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I waited until the end to review the different ticket types. At the top of each request, you will find the ticket type. The location request is assigned a ticket type based on the type of excavation and the requested start date of the excavation. So let's review what each type means. A regular ticket type is created when an excavator provides the legal amount of time, 2 full working days, but not more than 10 days notice. Excavators, please note when you have a job requiring multiple requests, such as installing services or poles, please only submit what you can complete for a work date. For example, if you have 30 services to install, you can request the first legal date, but if you can only complete 3 for the day, then place the next 3 for the following legal date, and then so on. This helps everyone save time and resources. If a member receives 30 requests to mark by the first legal date or single date, they may need to delay your request. Or if they can get all of them marked and you do not begin your work by the expiration date, a new request will need to be submitted, and the process for all members listed on the request will begin again. An emergency ticket is created when an excavator is on site or on the way to the site, and the excavation will be done on the same day. Excavation is also needed due to a threat to life, property, or a vital utility. An emergency ticket is meant for excavation to get the emergency under control and resolved within the same day as requested. If more work needs to be done on site after getting it under control, such as a different type of job, you will need to leave and finish a different day, and it's no longer an emergency, you will need to call in a regular notice for the different or extended excavation. If you are on site in an emergency and do not hear from a member, please contact their stakeout contact. Members do not have a defined amount of time to respond, although we do teach the best practice is to respond within a 2-hour time frame. Members do need to be sure they have access and can receive emergency requests 24/7. Short notice requests are created when an excavator does not provide the 2 full working days notice or is starting the same day, but the excavation is not an emergency. Even though this type of notice is not legal, members will be sent the request and they will still be required to respond, but the member will still have the 2 full working days to respond. A design ticket type is created when an engineering company is compiling plans for a future project and requests information from our members, such as plans, maps, or markouts. The design is only for information, and there will be no excavation taking place at the time of this request. Generally, only engineering firms, member utilities, and municipalities will be placing design requests. Members with no facilities within the area of their plans can respond with a code 10. If members do have facilities, respond with a code 61, design conflict. This code means the members do have facilities in the area and will attempt to contact and share what they have available. Members could also enter a code 30 and mark the location, but since there is no excavation taking place, the area may be large, or the person requesting the information may not even be in the same area to visually see the markings. Providing plans may save time and resources. Demolition ticket types require a 7-day advance notice and a pre-demolition meeting, or a meet ticket. Demolitions are considered a total or partial wreckage, razing, rending, or removal of any structure. Excavators requesting a demolition will be requested to also submit a meeting request. Excavators should call all utilities directly for disconnections and should notify any aerial facilities within the project area directly. Members need to respond to both the meet request and the demolition request. Members who are not able to have the physical meeting, please advise the excavator. So let's move on to late tickets. Once a location request becomes late, a late notification is sent to the member along with a late fee of $2. The notification advises them that a positive response was not posted in either the Exactix platform or on the automated positive response phone system by the work commencement date and time listed on a regular notice request. Members only receive late tickets on regular notice requests, and members to avoid late tickets and fees, be sure to respond prior to the start date and time on a regular request. Respond to all requests, even those that your company is the excavator for, and respond to even those you might feel are outside of your area. If you receive it, you must respond to it. Be sure you receive your end-of-day audits and transmissions. The or the unmarked now due, members are allowed to use code 55 and request up to 48 additional hours to be located. Code 55 should only be used when the member cannot locate by the start date and time due to circumstances such as weather, and they cannot mark the entire area and time due to the size of the location request, or they may need access or further information. Members also need to reach out to the excavator to make plans for locating their facilities. Once the site has been marked or cleared, the member will need to go back into Exactix and update the response. The Now Due notification is currently a courtesy message and is used to notify the members who entered the code 55. The notification lets the members know that the 48-hour extension has ended and the positive response is now due. Members will only receive the notification if a positive response is not entered before the end of the 48-hour period. When viewing the Exactix ticket dashboard, the ticket type will appear as now due. However, when reviewing the ticket information, it will appear as unmarked now due. A lot of information was covered in this presentation. We reviewed the different ticket types, notifications, and how to read through a transmitted ticket, and the importance of each section. Here are a few reminders. Excavators, please pre-mark in white, provide detailed information, provide 2 cross streets, and follow the extent of excavation policy. Members, use code 55 when necessary, and be sure to change your response. Respond on time to avoid late fees, check your service area maps, and update your member profile for contact and delivery accuracy. If you have any member-related questions or concerns, you can reach out to us at Member Services through my.udigny.org, the Exactix support for member utilities. You can email us at membersupport@udigny.org, or you can call us at 1-800-309-8289 extension 1. And thank you for taking time to view this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.